Hello, guys. Welcome to today's session on this 5-day bootcamp with for web design. Now, I'm your instructor for this session. We're going to start with discussing about today's topic. So, yesterday we talked about the introduction of talked about web design and what's about. We talked about website creation and all of that. So we're going to do a recap today. And again, welcome to the Web Design Bootcamp. And again, your instructor is Prince Will Elebuse, and I take web design full stack course here at Logtech. So now we're going to discuss on what web design is, right? I'm just going to do a recap of yesterday's session quickly. So, web design refers to the process of creating and building websites, right? Focus on user experience, visual aspect, and functionality. And it involves designing layout, graphics, and content to make a website visually appealing, easy to navigate, and optimize for various devices and browsers, right? So now we're talking about web design, which is about building websites. So, but what are websites, right? We need to understand what websites are. So, websites are collection of related web pages, including text, images, videos, and other digital content hosted on a server and accessible via the internet. Now, I know we've heard of the world websites using different areas, right? Different industries. Now, I have here with me examples of websites which I feel we are actually familiar with, right? Now, the examples of websites are Google, which is a search engine website, which I think most of us who use our smartphones are very familiar with Google, right? And the next one is Facebook. Facebook is a social media website, which I believe, let's say 90% to 100, okay, yes, 90% to 99% of people of today's society are very well familiar with Facebook, ranging from adults down to young teenagers, right? So the next one on our list here is Wikipedia. Wikipedia is an online encyclopedia. I know for those of us that are like always go around researching for ideas, researching for topics, looking up something on the internet, I think we've come across Wikipedia as the first website that is displayed on Google search engine whenever we're searching for a particular information online. And then the next one will be Amazon. Amazon is an e-commerce website which is very well popular around like countries like the United States, the UK, and other parts of the world, Europe. And an example of Amazon in Nigeria will be Jumia, right? So I believe most of us are familiar with Jumia, Konga, which these are e-commerce websites, right? So these are like different. We also have BBC News, which they have like a website, so that's a news website. So we are all familiar with websites. We see websites every day on the internet. We use our smartphones. We search for things online. We go through different information online. So now these websites enables us to have access to certain information. A website can be built by businesses to showcase their products online, can be built by schools, institutions, and different industries, right? Across different industries. So websites are like very well used, right? So now we've learned about websites and examples of website. Now, what are the technologies that are used in building a website, right? In designing a website. What now the question is what takes a website from an idea to what you can find on the internet? What's the building structure? Now, today we'll get to learn about the main technologies, and we'll also get to practice how to use these technologies. Now, the first one is HTML, right? Now, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, which defines the structure and content of a web page. It's used to create headings, paragraphs, image, links, forms, tables, and more. It provides the backbone of a website content. HTML documents are made up of elements represented by tags. Now, guys, pay attention to the word tags because that will be one of the most important things we'll actually practice today, right? Tags are so now let's have an example now. An example would be a house, right? Imagine a house structure. Now, you can't just a house is not made up of just sand, cement, right, and water. Which technically, building a block is actually built with sands and cement, but you don't just pour sands into the ground and have it built up like you find the clay houses built like during the older times. Now, houses or beautiful architectural structures are actually built with blocks, bricks. Now, a website bricks, right, used by HTML to build a website structure from ground is known as the tags. That is the analogy that you actually use in modeling tags, right? Now, we've talked about the building structure. Now, what about what makes a website appealing visually? What makes a website engaging in terms of its beauty, its content, and how it's designed, the functionality, and all? Now, that brings us to the next technology, which we'll be talking about in this bootcamp, and that's CSS. Now, for those of us, I know in this stream, we'll have some people who are like web design inclined and those who are not, right? Now, if you're web design inclined, you've come across the abbreviation CSS before. But if you're not, it's all right. We're going to get that handled today and also explained. Now, CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets, right? Cascading Style Sheets. Now, what does it do? It controls the layout, visual styling, and user experience of a web page. It's used to add colors, fonts, spacing, borders, and other visual effects, right? Now, CSS separates presentation from structure. CSS separates presentation from structure. Now, what do I mean by that? Presentation, or let me start with structure. Structure, it's like the whole skeletal structure, right? And that is what the HTML does. That's the role, getting the whole structure in place. Now, CSS is more of like presenting like the beauty, the visual appearance, the styling, right? That falls under the area or aspect of presentation, making it easier to maintain and update on websites. Now, one particular thing you need to understand in CSS is the usage of selectors, because one will ask, how can we get an HTML tag, which, okay, now you're saying that, okay, an HTML tag is used as the brick, but how can we style it? What's the similarity? How is it done? How can we style a text? How can we style a heading? How can we style the different layers, the header, the body, the header, the main, and the footer? How can we do that? Now, we can do that by using what is known as selectors. That's CSS selectors. Now, CSS uses selectors to target specific HTML elements and apply styles. Right? Now, we'll go ahead to explain these tags. Right? In our previous slide, remember we said something about CSS uses selectors to target specific HTML element and apply style. Now, the question is, what are these HTML elements? So now we'll be looking at that now. Now, HTML uses elements which can also be classified as tags, as the building structure of creating or designing a website. Now, these elements are, so now I'm actually splitting these tags into different aspects, because they're actually not of the same functionality. They all have the different role they play. They all have the different roles they play. Now, sorry about that. Now, we have what is called structural tags. We have what is called structural tags. Now, structural tags, which also is self-explanatory, actually maintains or design the structure a website is being built upon. Right now, when talking about structural tags, the first thing that comes in mind is what they call document type declaration. Yesterday, we did a little bit on this where we talked about doc type HTML. But due to the network interruption, I didn't have enough time or chance to give an in-depth explanation, which I apologize for that. Now, doc type HTML, this is like a way of telling the browser that this file you're about to load is an HTML file. Remember, websites are collections of relatable files, right? Now, we have the document type, which is the first thing to indicate that this is an HTML tag. Is the identity of that particular file. This is an HTML file, sorry, the identity of that particular file. And we also have something known as the root element. We also have something known as what? The root element. That is the HTML tag you find here on the screen, right? After the document, the doc type on HTML. Now, the root element is like the tags that embodies everything. Well, what I mean by everything, I'll explain the whole structure process shortly. Now, the root element when designing, so something I also want you to understand is in HTML, we have something known as open tags and closing tags, right? And these are called double tags, right? And we also have single tags, right? Now, in HTML, the HTML element or the root element is what is called a double tag because it uses the HTML open tag and also the HTML closing tag, which we'll see in when we're practicing it in a bit. Right now, we go ahead as far as then implementing what the head tag. Now, the head tag is what contains the metadata of that particular HTML file. Right now, we also have what the body tag. The body tag is known as the content tags. This body tag or this content tag rather holds the content of what of that website. So when you go on Google search engine, www.google.com, you see the Google logo, you see the search bar, right? Now, all of these are being created or designed inside the body tag, right? Which we'll see in a bit. Now we have other tags called the H1 for the main heading. We have the P tag for paragraphs. We have the image tags. Now, the H1, the P tag, these are double tags. Remember, double tags are tags that has an opening side and also the closing side, which we'll also see in a bit. Now, but image tag is a single tag. It doesn't have an opening, it doesn't have a closing part, right? Now, the next one is also an A tag. This is known as a link tag. Now, we've come across what is called a hyperlink. A hyperlink is a part on your website that actually takes you from that particular page to a different page or from that particular location to a different location, right? That's the job of the A tag or the link tag. Now we go as far as saying there are other tags known as the list and table tags. And we have the unordered list tag. We also have the table tags. The unordered list tag is used for creating unordered lists that has, when you we'll see that shortly though, but let me explain what it does. So we have unordered list and ordered list. Unordered list is when you actually try listing out items, right, that has bullet points. Those are known as unordered lists. And then when you list out items that has numbers, number 1, 2, and 3, those are known as ordered lists. So we also have form tags that is used in creating the forms you see on the website, right? Like your sign in, sign in, sign out, registration forms, and all of that. Those are being created with the form tags, right? Now we also have text tags, right? Which we've seen the paragraph tag, these are for text. We have the span tag, which we explain. We have the line break tag, and we have the horizontal row tag. Now, we've learned about these elements or tags, but the most important thing is what actually brings the styling from our CSS down to the HTML is known as, well, is known or yeah, is known as what is called CSS selectors. These are what gets that particular tag from your HTML, right, to the CSS. Like, style this particular tag, style the paragraph tag, which we'll learn about those practices today. That's going to make our session more interesting, which we'll jump into in a bit. So now, what are CSS selectors? CSS selectors are used to target specific HTML elements and apply styles to change them. Selectors allow you to specify which element on a web page you want to style, making it possible to control the layout, visual appearance, and user experience of your website. Now, there are different types of selectors basically. Now, what are the types of selectors? Now, there's some common types of CSS selectors include the element selector, the class selector, and the ID selector. The element selector targets the HTML element by their tag name, right? Which example would be the P tag, the H1 tag, the image tag, and other different types of tags, right? Now we also have the class selector, which in the area of this class selector, it targets the HTML element with a specific class attribute. Now, these class attributes are custom names in which you use in which you give to those HTML tags. Now, let's say, for example, I want to start a paragraph tag, and I don't want to call the element name, right? Which I'll show you why. Why I don't want to call the element name, making me want to use a class selector. I'll show you that in a bit. Now, you pass a name, a custom name to this particular HTML tag, and then in order for you to call that tag in your CSS, you use what? A dot or a full stop, right? In the name, the custom name you give to that element, which we'll practice that in a bit also. Yeah, I keep saying in a bit. So the next selector and the last one we're going to talk about now before we migrate to our code editor is ID selectors, right? ID selectors. Now, this ID selector targets HTML elements with a specific ID attribute. Now, remember, I just talked about the class selector. The ID selector actually does the same thing that class selector actually do. Right now, what's different? Because you act like it was different. Why not? Why include ID selector? Why not just leave the class selector? Then, and the reason, the difference between the both selectors is that the class selector, like I said, use a dot or a full stop, and the ID selector use what? An hashtag, right? So that's the difference. So by using CSS selector, you can apply these styles to specific HTML elements, right? Making it easier to control the design and layout of your website, right? So we've covered the explanation on, and also a recap of what we talked about yesterday about what is web design, what are websites, what the different type of websites, and also the technologies used in designing a website from scratch. Now, I'm leaving with you guys. This is a link, right? Or yeah, so you can find additional resources to help sharpen your HTML and CSS skills on a platform known as developer.mozilla.org, right? And you can go on your browser, on your Google search engine, and search for HTML tags, right? And then add MDN docs. That will give out a list, give out the website that you can actually get these HTML tags and also learn more about HTML and CSS. Now, I also advise that you learn more about the tags and also the selectors and how this actually helps in building or designing a website from scratch. That will help you in sharpening your skills. So We're going to take a 2 minute break, and I'll get back to you guys. Thank you. So. So, thank you for taking bearing with us on our short break. So now I know yesterday we talked about installing VS Code on your system, right? So I feel like we today we have more people that didn't attend the stream yesterday. So I'm just going to go on take a recap on that particular installation process again. So now what we'll do is we'll go on our browser, and then we'll go on our browser. We install VS Code. So when you go on your browser, you just search for VS Code on your Google search engine, right? Your browser. So when you do that, you have the VS Code website pulled, the link to that particular website put up on your browser, and then you click on the download link, right? But if you can't find the download link, just click on the Visual Studio Code link you find there. So when you click on it, it's going to take you to the website, right? It's going to take you to the website. And when you take you to the website, you will see the area, you see the button here that says download. So you click on the button. And you click on the button, it's going to take you to the download page. When you see here, you'll see Windows Dev for people using Linux or Ubuntu. And also, for those using Mac OS, you also find the download button there. So if you're using Windows, or you just click on the button that says Windows 10 or 11, and when you do, the file will start downloading, right? Start downloading, and when it's done downloading, I'll guide you through the process on how to install it on your system. So while that is going on, we'll go on a 1 minute short break. While you're downloading your, we'll go on a 1 minute short break, and then I think by then. So I believe our VS Code .exe file is already downloaded, and you can find that in your download folder. And when you do, double click on it, and it's going to open a screen, just like a medium screen, that will ask you if you want to accept the terms and conditions, right? Click on I accept, and when you do, you find a page, another page again that actually asks about the file paths where it's going to be stored on your system. Just click on next, and when you do that, you find the part that actually gives you the name of the software, which is Visual Studio Code. You also click on next. These are the steps. So I'm just giving out the steps that you can use in installing VS Code into your device. And then the next thing you find is very important part. You see a list of checkboxes, right? And the first one you see create a desktop icon. Kindly click on that checkbox, and when you do, click on next. And then when you click on next, you have another page again opened, and now this time click on install, and when it's done, you'll find a new page that says welcome or setup finish, right? So when we're done with that part, we then go to our VS Code. So we then go to our VS Code. So now, if you already have your VS Code open, congratulations, our practice time starts now. So when using HTML, when trying to design a website on your computer or on your IDE, you actually have an extension that you need to install, right? And this extension is known as Live Server. I know I talked about this yesterday, but I'm just doing a recap. Like I said, the network issues yesterday was very, very bad, was much. So you go on your extension, you find the extension icon at the side of your code editor. So first of all, what is VS Code? VS Code is a code editor that helps you or makes it possible for you to build a website seamlessly, right? Now, it has all the tools and features you need to easily develop or design a website. During the earliest time of web development or web design, different type of software development tools they use, known as Notepad, and we have like different types, right? Which some of them are still used today, like Vim, Emacs, and all of that. But with the invention of code editors like Sublime Text, Atom, VS Code, most especially, it makes development and design more easy, right, and more better for use. Now, VS Code is ranked among one of the top and most popular code editor used today in the development ecosystem, right? So that's just a brief overview on what VS Code is and what a code editor does. So now we'll go to this icon here. When you click on this icon, you find it here. You then live, search for live server, search for live server, and then when you search for live server, so you see this page here, this one. So I already have live server installed on my system. That's why you find this uninstall button here. But if you've not installed it before, you'll see the install button. Just kindly click on it, and when you do, you'll have live server running and installing on your system, right? So while that is working, while that is installing on your system, so I believe maybe our live server is done installing. So another thing I also want to introduce or explain to you guys are some certain functionalities on your VS Code, right? Now, one of them is autosave. So when you're using VS Code, you have to save manually in order for your changes to be reflected on your browser, right? Now, I'll show you the trick or the steps that you can use to ensure that your your changes are actually saved automatically, right? Now, you have to go to your settings. So you see this icon, right here, the last icon in your sidebar. You see the icon, you click on the icon, you go to settings, and then when you're at settings, so you find it here, commonly used, you find auto save here. But if you can't find it, just search for auto save. So when you search for auto save, you find a drop down here, and then just click on after delay. So when you do that, your changes will automatically be saved after just less than a second delay, right? Just like a millisecond delay, so it changes automatically, right? So now another thing I'll also help you guys to I will actually also show you guys as part of our course practice is word wrap. Now, most of the time, which we'll do right shortly, we'll use something known as dummy text, right, to actually generate dummy text on our paragraph, right? Most of the time, you go to some website templates that are just built on the internet, you find I don't know, for some of us that have actually come across stuff like this before, because I did when I started writing, doing web development, and I always like wonder, how am I going to like type all this long text to just when I'm actually developing a website in development stage. So then I discovered something known as lorem, right? So when you're writing lorem is known as dummy text in web development, right? So I also guide you guys on how to implement lorem. But you find yourself implementing, like, let's say 150 words, right? And then goes like it spans across your code editor, that you have to start adjusting, right? Your scroll bar start adjusting down to, so you can be able to like see the whole text. But we can actually stop that, because it's like not really good practice, and it makes your code not readable, which is bad practice in terms of software development. So you would change that by actually going on this setting search bar. You search for word wrap. So you search for word wrap and you find word wrap here, editor word wrap, right? And then you see a drop down, and then you click on, right? You just click on, right? And then this basically will set your VS Code to automatically wrap up the line. So instead of it spanning long, you just like cut it into half. It calculates the width by the window size, right? So we're going to now. I feel like we've already have everything set up. Congratulations if you've got up to this point. If you've gotten up to this point, congratulations. Now we'll go into practicing our HTML tags and also seeing how beautifying using CSS to style our tags and all of that. So what we just learned from the slide about CSS selectors, we're going to see that in practice now. Now let's go. So on your VS Code, you find this part. You see this icon here. I'm hovering on it now. You see it called new file, right? So you find 4 icons. So you find 4 icons. One of them is for creating a new file, which is the first one. The second one is for creating a folder. We're not creating a folder yet, which we'll do when we want to when we go more into learning and practicing and basically also developing a project, which we're going to do in later days of our bootcamp. So for now, we're just going to create a new file. We're going to create a new file called index.html. Right? So when you create index.html, this is the first stage you go through when beginning web design or web development. Right? The first thing you do is creating your index.html. You can name it whatever name you want. You can name it about dot. Okay, sorry. Okay, so about dot html. You can basically name it this. You can name it this. It's fine. But the issue here is this: not like basically an issue though. It's just like just a minor information I need to pass. When when creating a website, you have a collection of files, right? Now, our browser needs to read the first file, which is basically going to be the home page. Our browser needs to read that, but how? There is a way a browser understand that, oh, this is the home page. I think I need to load this one first. Because basically we all know when using website, the home page is connected to the about page or the contact us page or our services page, depends on whatever page it is. Now, so when the browser sees this name index.html, the browser automatically identifies this file, this index.html, as what? The home page, as the first HTML file to load, right? As the first HTML file to load. Now, websites are being loaded on what? On the server, right? When you make a request to that particular server using the website's URL, which in this case, for example, you're doing www.facebook.com, it loads it, it returns a collection of files, and the browser like search for what particular file is the home page, and then the one it sees with index.html, that's the first one it loads, right? So now, having noted that, we're going to start implementing our tags, right? Now, in for good practice, I'm going to show you guys two tricks or two ways, right? I think I should stop calling tricks, right? Just two ways, right? So I'm going to show you guys two ways on how to. For me, I identify the first way as the manual or the slow way, but it also helps in building memory muscles, right? And also identify the other one as the fastest way and also the automatic way. So now the first way we're going to do is I'm going to just create. So one thing I also need to note out is that when you save your file with a .html extension, right, on VS Code, if you put in quotation doc type, right, or sorry, when you put in doc type, doc, right, now you see this. I think you see this thing on your on your code editor called Emmet abbreviation, right? Emmet abbreviation. This is a way for VS Code. So now VS Code has already seen this file as what? As a .html file. So it's an HTML file. Now it knows that, okay, now this is an HTML file. I think I can actually provide code completion, right, for this file. So now if I click on this, sorry about that. So great. So if I click on this doc type, so if I go, so yeah, this is what I was looking for. So yeah, this is what I was looking for. So if I click on this now, right, it gives me what? The doc type HTML, right? This is a single tag. It gives me the word the doc type HTML. This is one of the rich features you find or you experience when using a code editor, right? Which is this. So now if I go down and then I can actually put in HTML, right? This will give me the root. Remember we talked about HTML as the root element, right? And then it gives me my HTML. Now, I told you guys about double tags, right? This is known as the opening tag, right? Which has the lesser than sign, HTML, and also the greater than sign. So this is known as the opening tag, and also this is known as a closing tag. Now, how? I feel maybe the differences is like is implemented there, which is this backlash symbol that actually differentiates an opening tag from a closing tag. Right now, we're going to implement more tags. Now, the reason why we're going through this manual way is for us to build muscle memory in terms of knowing how to order our tags. Now, we're going to say the next one we're going to implement is the head tag. Right now, we have the head tag. Now, remember, the head tag is what handles metadata. All right. So inside the head tag, we're going to have another tag called the title tag. right? This title tag is going to hold the title of our web page, right? Now, sometimes when you go on www.google.com, on your browser window, you see that description at the top, right, that says Google. Or most of the times you find an icon, the G icon, right? Or on your Gmail, yeah, on your Gmail, you find the Gmail icon there, just implemented there on your browser window. So that is actually being done inside this head tag, and the title that says this is the name of the web page, that is being done inside the title tag. So now we'll go ahead and also implement something known as uh, sorry about that. I want to point something out to you guys, right? I want to point something out to you guys. I want you guys to understand when calling the skeletal structure of a website using HTML, you have to identify with something now. Imagine the root element as yourself, right? What actually covers your body, right? The head tag or whatever is inside the head tag is like your face, right? This whole head section, right? And then whatever we'll find now in this new tag, which I'll implement now, body, right? Body tag, that's everything you find here in your body, right? From your neck down to the sole of your feet, that is implemented inside the body tag. So with this mode, you can use this as a way. You can maybe, for example, if you're new to HTML and you're trying to remember these tags, you can basically like try remembering them by using your own skeletal structure, right? So now we'll go ahead and then I'll show you guys the automatic way now. I'll show you guys the automatic way. So I'll take this out again. And then the automatic way of doing this, you click, you hold your shift key down, then you click on this your one. So if you hold your shift key down, you click on the number one, that particular button one on your keyboard, it will give you the exclamation mark. It's like you're trying to get an exclamation mark. And when you do, you can see this implementation here, Emmet abbreviation, right? And then when you click on it, whoa, it gave you everything, right? This is the fundamental structure. Every other thing is built upon this structure. So if you've gotten up to this point, congratulations, you've learned how to create a basic fundamental structure of a website, right? So now this is like our skeletal bones and everything that our skins and all of that is being built upon. So we'll go ahead now. We'll implement some basic HTML tags so you guys can we'll just create like a simple website now. So now we talked about having our H1 tag, a paragraph tag, and all of that. We talked about having that on our in our website, right, as a structure for it. So now I'll go ahead and creating just a basic website where I'll show you guys how we can create a website from our HTML page and then have it displayed on our or viewed on our browser. So we'll see that now by actually running. So we're going to create a website now. I'm going to create a H1 tag. This is an H1 tag, right? To create a heading. So in here, we'll call this a heading. So we'll call this a heading. Sorry about my typing. So we'll call this a heading, right? And inside here, we're going to create an unordered list, right? An unordered list of items. So I'll just show you guys how to implement an unordered list of items. And then inside the unordered list, we'll put in our list our items. So we'll list out some items, and in listing out the items, we'll have item 1. We'll have li item 2, right? And just list out 3 items. Here we'll list out item 3, right? So when we do this, we'll click on our go live. So if you already have your live server installed, you click on go live, and go live will take you down to your web page where this you see the implementation. So if you've gone up to this point, congratulations, you've implemented your first HTML tags and created a ground foundation on where to build your website, right? So now we've implemented this, right? Now we're just going to take 2 minutes to show you how you can implement your CSS styling by actually changing the color of our heading tag, right? So we'll do that by using, so in CSS, they have like different mode of styling, right? We have what is called the inline styling, which we're going to do now. We have what is called the internal styling, and also we have what is called the external styling. The external styling is when we start having an external web page that will link to our browser using the link tag, which we're going to learn later on in our bootcamp, right? So right here, I'm going to implement something known as the style attribute. And the style attribute, I'm going to create color, right? And I'm going to give this color blue. Blue is my favorite color, actually. So that's why I'm picking blue. So now we're going here, and then boom, you see that the color here changed, right? So already we started implementing some styling options for our website. So I'm excited about what we're going to do for the course of this bootcamp journey. Now, just to give you guys an insight of what we're going to do next, we're going to by tomorrow's session, we're going to create a website, right? We're going to create a basic website. Since so far we've covered a brief explanation on what web design is, covered a brief explanation of websites, also covered a brief explanation of the different types of websites, the technologies, which is HTML and CSS. Now we've done much of explaining. Now it's time for us to go into practical mode by actually developing a basic website using HTML and CSS. And I know you're excited for that. I know you're excited. Everyone loves practical. Everyone loves seeing how they can build a website from scratch. Now, if you have any question regarding tags, and you have any question regarding CSS or whatever it is, just kindly drop your question on the comment section. And I promise you those questions will be attended to in our next session. So thank you for joining today's session. I'm so excited and I can't wait for us to actually start building our basic first website, right? Thank you very much. Again, I'm your instructor for this particular session, and my name is Prince Will, and I'm excited for this journey. I'm excited for working with you guys, educating you guys on web design creation, and hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow. If you have friends, tell them to tune in. We're going to build a website. We're going to build a fire website, and we're going to enjoy this whole ride. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful night.